it's yeah, as I said, we always have an international audience. Always great to get them to. I mean, some in Europe might know you, and some in other parts of the country might think, oh, I thought she was British and stuff. But where were you born and raised?
The funny thing, I will say this: I'm a Jersey girl, New Jersey. I was born
Okay.
in Paterson, New Jersey, which is right 12 miles west of New York City, and born and raised, educated in the city, college in the South. I attended and graduated from college in North Carolina, though. So
Okay.
I have strong ties to the South, to North Carolina in particular. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
A number of my guests who I've interviewed have come from New Jersey. The members of Rift. I don't know if you know them.
Yes. They're
And
from, they're actually my home, they're from my hometown. We're home people, as we say.
okay, yeah, Nitty Green and the rest are Dwayne. Yeah, they're really good friends. And then members of Blackstreet, Chauncey Black, and
Chauncey, Levi, I know
oh,
all of
Levi.
that.
You know, yeah, Levi is a very good
Yes.
friend of mine. Yes, with Eric.
Yes.
And so, but yeah, recently interviewed Gina Thompson. She's from New Jersey, but she's from a different side, and also KG from Naughty by Nature. So he's
Yes.
also from. So it was surprising that a lot of talent has come out of New Jersey, which
Yes.
has surprised a lot of us. When you were growing up, what was and I know of the great Regina Bell and the Bell family, but when you Big Bob from Today and stuff, but when you grew up, was how what were you inspired by musically?
It was, well, the thing in my household, we listened to all types of music, all different types of genres. My father and my mother were both really into jazz. And so we
Okay.
listened to a lot of jazz and of course a lot of R&B. Uh, but then of course I had my grandmothers and my grandmothers listened to gospel. And,
Yes.
and so I was strongly influenced by that. But because of the nature of where I grew up, my exposure to music was really was very vast and varied because my friends didn't all look like me. Some of them were of European descent. And
Oh,
so rock and roll and the rock and roll and they love that stuff. So I grew up listening to all types of music. So I was familiar with who Leonard Skinner and AC/DC and Def Leppard and Grateful Dead, just like I was the OJs, Gladys Knight. So it was just kind of really very interesting and knowing who Yuma Sakala and Nina Simone and some of the jazz greats, McCoy Tyner. It just Miles Davis. I grew up in a household where music was always there. At the family gatherings, it was always there. We would sing, even the family members who couldn't sing would sing, and it was
wow,
just yeah. So in terms of music, and then I studied classical violin growing up
wow.
as a kid, and did musical theater in high school through high school, and so and
Okay.
thereabouts did some theater afterwards. But so my influences were home, church, and my exposure and my environment that really kind of
Okay.
dictated my love of music, all types of music.
And then, but growing up with, we mentioned a few of the people from Blackstreet to Regina Bell and the rest, and they started getting into music early and doing talent shows. Were you also on those talent show circuits?
It was funny, actually. Yeah, I did, and I was not one of those types of singers who I always loved to sing, but music. I never wanted to be a musician. I never wanted to be an artist. I thought I'm going to be an attorney.
Okay.
That was what I aspired to be. That's how I studied, and that's how I prepared. But music was always there. I mean, I grew up singing in the church, and so it was always there. I ended up doing a couple of talent shows, and I actually did a talent show and sang a Whitney Houston song, and it was so funny. "Saving All My Love." It was such a fun time for me because I was just doing it for the fun of it. But I won the talent show. I thought, what in the world? But
Wow.
because it was just, I guess I never took myself really serious. But I also was a perfectionist, and so I was not going to get up there unprepared. And
Mm.
needless to say, so I did the circuit, so to speak. But then I started singing with bands and performing with bands and ended up singing with a gentleman by the name of CC Rogers, who ended up having a hit record Someday on Atlantic. But I was part of CC's group, CC and Company. I was part of the company. And so, we would do shows in and around the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area. So the circuit, the whole talent show circuit, yes, but not so much as I did working with bands. I would do kind of one-offs with different bands.
uh, Could you mention you went to North Carolina for college? So when did the did you what did you study? Did you study law in college, or what did you?
It's, let me tell you the funny thing is that no, I was a double major. I was a professional speech and theater arts major with a broadcast communication emphasis. And
Okay.
so that's what my bachelor's is in. My master's is in leadership studies and adult education. So I work with young adults now at a college, and I love that. I love that because our institution is one of the few schools that has entertainment technology as a viable degree program. But I work with students that are in various areas of program of study, and so it's just kind of what I do, what I've done. You
Okay.
know, yeah.
So, but no, because when you moved to New Jersey for, to North Carolina for college, was this still, instead of getting a career, you focused on that, then started to sing, or what was the transition?
Well, I sang through college. This is the funny thing. I want to share something with you. One of the things I would sing all the time. I would sing I would sing at different events and different programs around the college. And I think I ended up becoming Miss North Carolina A&T State University. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I always said, I was not, I said, I always thought I was never that girl. I was not that's not me. I'm not a pageant girl. But that's not my thing. But I think that I ended up winning because I was really cool with everybody. I mean, I was cool with the international students. I was cool with the other sororities. I'm a member of a sorority, and I was friends with women in other sororities. I was friends with guys in fraternities. I was friends with different organizations. And so singing was always something that I did. And even for my coronation as Miss A&T, I was the first Miss A&T to sing. Literally, I sang at my coronation, and I sang Denise Williams' Black Butterfly.
Wow.
Because I absolutely love I love butterflies, and I love my blackness, and so I don't run away from that. So for me, it was just kind of really fun to be able to continue singing, but I didn't do it. I did it for fun through college. I did it mostly for fun, and I did it, with and around people and for people and with people who just had a love of music. I actually sang with it was Barbara Weathers, who was the lead singer of Atlantic Star, and she's from the Greensboro area. And so I would work with the band that she was with. So periodically we would be doing shows together. And so it was just kind of, I did it, I loved it. And then I graduated college and I started singing with the bands because it just kind of kept that continuum of being engaged in music and being with people who loved to perform. So it's just kind of, I didn't study music on purpose. Let me say that. I tell people that because what I realized, I'd taken a theory class, a music theory and a musical notation class. And I thought that class was harder than any of my science classes. And I thought, I don't want to have to work this hard. I didn't want to lose the enthusiasm that I had for music. And I feel like sometimes when you study something, it takes away the organic nature of how you do what you do. And so I applaud and give kudos to people who study and can read. I can read music and I can actually follow music, but in terms of, I mean, they stick to it. I wanted to be that. I'm like, nah, I didn't want it to be that serious for me. Then it became my career for a long time and became serious for me because I was trying to make a living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, because you when you were studying and in college, what was it that you thought you'd do with your degree once you graduated?
Well, I thought I was going to go to law school. Honestly, my plans were to leave to graduate from North Carolina A&T, and I wanted to head back home. I really was really interested in attending Columbia University. I wanted to attend. I wanted to be back home. I wanted to be in the Northeast, and I wanted to be an attorney. Well, I studied for the LSAT, which is the exam to kind of gauge where you are and your preparedness for the rigors of that type of program. And I realized I said, you know what, I don't want to do that either. So, but I ended up working at a publishing company, and I enjoyed that. I was a proofreader and an editor for a publishing company, and I enjoyed that. But I was singing on the weekends. I mean, I was singing, even singing during the week. I mean, on a Wednesday night, literally Wednesday through Sunday, I was, singing after work. I don't know how I don't know how I kept a job, but needless to say, when I made the decision in 1987, it was, I had done a demo, and my first record was Falling in Love. And I had done it for the UK. It was on Champion Records, but it was in Next Plateau Records in the US. And I remember I had a decision to make because they said, you can tour. We've got 3-month tour for you if you want to work. I was still young, and my mom said, you know what, go for it. You're still young. You can always come back and you can always come back and find another job, And so, and I ventured down that road and never looked back, actually, and never looked back. And then I realized when I decided I wanted to step away from it, that came years later. And it came after just kind of falling or feeling less enthusiastic about how the music industry was going. And I felt as if there wasn't room for someone like me, at that time. It had changed dramatically. And I thought, no, this is not what I signed up for. And I had to make a decision to figure out what else I was good at and try to make a foray into that.
Yeah. No, but before then, I guess that's the interesting part, is that you're working in the industry from a publishing point of view and stuff, and you get this opportunity. So by '87, so we did have Atlantic Star, Midnight Star, and Phyllis Harmon. So we had a number of Anita Baker had a number of Sade and all that is out, and this is out just before the whole New Jack Swing was coming up. What was your sort of take as the direction of music that you thought you might try and get into, based on who was out at the time?
Well, the thing is that I had done house records. I was a house head. I mean, just real talk. I used to be at the Paradise Garage and Zanzibar and Cheetah. I loved house music. I was like absolutely loved house music. I loved house DJs, the late Larry Levan, Frankie Knuckles. I mean, I loved Steve Silk Hurley. I really liked house. I liked the way that I felt as if it was the only kind of music where you can just kind of get lost in it. And you didn't have to worry about, singing a line or a lyric right. You just kind of got that bass, that whole groove. And I loved, and I actually, those are the types of clubs that I would go to. And then, of course, I go to the R&B clubs, but the R&B clubs were playing combinations. They were playing, a combination of different types of R&B and then house. But the house was the Jocelyn Brown, the Gwen Guthrie, and they were vocal records, and I loved that. And so for me, and then what is it? My Colonel Abrams and So it was playing. Those are the types of kind of house, kind of housey R&B tracks that I fell in love with. And so when I came out of Don't Make Me Over. It came out in '89, and it came out at a time when it was like a real cool vibe in music. You had Soul to Soul. You had the Brand New Heavies. You had there was a group out of the UK that I loved called Tongue in Cheek. They had a really cool song called Never Nobody that I absolutely loved. And so I liked a lot of the British soul groups that were out at the time. And Loose Ends by far.
Loose Ends, yeah, I was going to say Loose Ends.
Absolutely one of my favorites. So I got the opportunity to do work with them. And just for me, I felt as if what I was doing was pocketed, and nestled really nicely with what was happening. It was not until considerably later that I realized that things had changed. They were changing. It was not about being the gifted singer and or having a great song. It was about, it's just like, is your beat right? And are you young? And are you just image? It became, we became all consumed with image, what someone looked like. And I thought, what happened to the days when you really had to have a voice? I mean, you had singers that were making records. They weren't singers. You had a lot of that. And so a lot of the groups fell by the wayside because the way touring went and the way that record companies were investing, it was just not it was not ideal for the real singer or the real songwriter or the real producer. It was more about, okay, can they sell records because they look like they're about 12 singing these adult records, or they're cool, and it just changed in a way that wasn't comfortable for me.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.
I